Sup guys, Nathan here, bringing you some more Team Fortress 2, and in this video, I'm going to be telling you when to use the Medigun versus the Kritkrieg, because I believe it was yesterday, actually Jerma released a video on when to use the mini sentry versus the large sentry, so I figured I would fill you guys in on the same thing with the medic. So if you haven't played any competitive TF2, you wouldn't really know, but basically it is widely known that on offense you should be using the Medigun, the default Medigun, and then on defense you should be using the Kritkrieg, and I'll get into why later, but you really shouldn't be using the Quick Fix at all, because the Quick Fix is actually just a terrible Medigun. I would not suggest using it at all. People say it's good for healing groups of people, and I would even disagree at that, because overheal is so important, but I didn't make this video to rant about the Quick Fix, so I'll get into the Medigun versus the Kritkrieg. So let's get into the jobs of offense versus defense in Team Fortress 2. So on offense, let's just use capture point and payload for example. Your job is to cap a point or push a cart on offense, and on defense your goal is to kill the enemy team. Now with how this relates to the Mediguns is that with the Kritkrieg does a fantastic job at killing people, basically. I mean, that's just kind of a summary of its general purpose, and then the Medigun makes you invulnerable so that you can make a push or gain some momentum to cap an objective. Also, one major thing to point out here is that since crits don't work on sentries, the Kritkrieg is not very good on offense, because on offense you're going to be dealing with a lot of sentries, because typically defense has more engineers because they need to have area control and defend an objective. But with the Medigun just makes you invulnerable so that you can deal pretty much the same amount of damage on sentries so that the sentry can't kill you and you can just take it out effectively. So why not use the Kritkrieg on offense and the Medigun on defense? Well, I just explained a major downside of the Kritkrieg on offense, but the Kritkrieg could be very, very useful on offense if you had to take out a large group of enemies where maybe there isn't any sentries, or maybe just the defense doesn't have many engineers, although that is a rare case, but it could have its uses on offense. Now with the Medigun on defense, pretty much its best strength is when you need to make a push and break the offense's sentry nest so that their progress towards the point is not saved. And what I mean by this is that in a typical match, let's say payload, like in Badwater, usually when the offensive team is pretty much almost to the last camp point but the defense is very strong, what an engineer will typically do is build a level 3 sentry to control a choke point so that the defense can't push past and then kill his teleporter. Now with the Medigun on defense, that would be where its use would come in, because then you could uber a heavy and then kill the sentry and then kill the blue engineer's teleporter, so that their quote-unquote true production would be much down, and you could then defend the point a lot easier. Also guys, one tip with the Kritkrieg that always gets me, I never really follow this rule, is that with the Kritkrieg, do not be afraid to uber early, because with the Kritkrieg, what you're going to do is your target, your healing, is going to just jump in the middle of everyone, and he's going to start throwing out crits everywhere, going to get a lot of kills, but he's going to receive just a ton of damage backwards. And with the Kritkrieg, you typically get killed a lot more often, while ubered, or even just after ubered, but that's because you're not invulnerable, and usually medics still have that habit of just charging into everyone when you're ubered. And with the Kritkrieg, you want to uber early, because, and I'm not sure if I only have this habit or if other Kritkrieg medics have this habit too, but typically with the Medigun, you usually wait until your healing target is about half health, and then you uber so that they can gain that health back while they're invulnerable. But with the Kritkrieg, you don't want to do that, because you're not invulnerable and you're going to be receiving tons of damage while you're ubering your heal target, and that's why you should really uber early, so that you don't get into that habit of just getting down to half health and then dying when all of a sudden everyone sees this crits heavy or crit soldier and they go crazy and then direct their fire at you. And that will wrap up the video, guys, on Medigun versus Kritkrieg. Hopefully I earned your like, and maybe you learned something from this video. But anyway, if you like TF2, feel free to subscribe, because I bring lots of that, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Peace.